So, guys, you will be sending back those videos once the session is ended, right?
Yeah.
Yes, right.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. So before we proceed, yeah. So this is what the agenda for day one and day two, that's today and tomorrow, is with regards to our Fusion HCM training. So we will have introduction of basic introduction about Oracle Cloud or Oracle Fusion, so to say. We'll also look at the overall course content in a bit, and then tomorrow's session we will talk about the navigation basics to begin with, on with regards to the application. So we'll start off with these topics today in terms of what is Oracle Cloud, Oracle Fusion, what's SaaS, PaaS, and infrastructure as a service. What's the architecture overall for Fusion? What are the different offerings that Fusion has? And we will then look at Oracle HCM Cloud, to be precise, in terms of the capabilities or the modules that Oracle HCM Cloud has, and an overview of that. And then, of course, as I said, we will have a look at the overall course content from this particular topic, or rather for this particular training. All right. So if you can see the screen, basically this is what uh, Oracle Fusion application is about, or rather the history of Oracle application. So basically, Fusion applications is a cloud-based product of Oracle, or rather a cloud-based offering of Oracle, which is intended to help the entire hire to retire life cycle, from recruiting till the time an employee leaves, or for that matter even after the employer rehires, or is joining the organization again. Basically, how this application has been developed over the years has been, initially Oracle had its own on-premise version, which was called our Oracle e-business suite. So if you can see on the left hand side, there are different applications, the abbreviations of these different applications. So we had e-business suite, which was its Oracle's own offering, which catered to uh, the hire to retire solution. We had PeopleSoft, which was acquired by Oracle a few years ago, around about 15 years ago. We have Siebel, which was there for CRM, or relationship management related applications. We had JD Edwards, which was again an acquisition which Oracle had. So over the years, the Fusion application has been built to cater to the needs of the different solutions, not just Oracle HCM, but other work streams or other processes. For example, finance related processes, record to report life cycle, or order to cash life cycles as well. So this is basically how Oracle Fusion application has evolved or grown over the years. So it's a combination of the best practices that these different systems bring in. So Oracle picked up the leading practices of e-business suite, leading practices of PeopleSoft, Siebel, and JD Edwards over the years, and came up with a solution called as Oracle Fusion applications. And it is completely cloud-based application, meaning to say, I mean, you guys already know that, given the experience that you carry, basically it is accessible over the internet, in layman's term, and you would essentially not require any, uh, I would say, intranet, or for that matter any VPN accesses to access these applications. You can straight away log into that application through a URL on, if you have an internet connection. So in layman's term, that's what Oracle Fusion applications offers. In terms of how the technical architecture is, we'll talk in a bit, but essentially Fusion middleware is the framework that is provided by Oracle to connect to different applications, be it within the Fusion landscape or outside of the Oracle landscape. If you want to connect to different third-party systems and integrate it, we have a Fusion middleware which supports that integration. But that's how the Fusion middleware, or rather the framework that Oracle comes up with. And then, of course, on top of all these applications, you will have your reporting or analytics platform, which also has evolved over the years. We have seen that there has been a strong and growing need of reporting and dashboards, etc., on this particular processes, and Oracle has come up with a solution. So initially it was called or up until very recently it was called OTBI, or Oracle Transactional Business Intelligence, and now they are calling it Oracle Analytics, to be precise. So that's how the landscape of Oracle Fusion applications is essentially. In terms of the structure, or rather the differences, as I talked about, basically between between on-premise and cloud-based versions of Oracle. So these are the different frameworks that exist basically, and we'll talk briefly about upon this, because this is a whole technical topic in detail that we can cover if time permits. But you see that there is on-prem, there is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. These are the different ways of kind of running the show that Oracle has specifically for Oracle Fusion application. So on-prem is pretty straightforward. Basically everything that you see, right from applications, right from the data, middleware, operating system, servers, storage, networking, etc. All of this is something which is after the implementation, at least, is managed by the managed by the company themselves, or say for example the client that you are implementing the Oracle solution for on-prem is something which is hosted, or the server resides within the company's purview, or within their view per se, and they themselves manage it, or they outsource it to any third party vendor. But essentially they are responsible for any and every issues, or any and every upgrades, etc., with regards to the application, with regards to the data, with regards to the middleware, etc. So that's what the on-prem uh, version is with regards to Oracle. And Oracle also comes the Oracle also comes up with their own on-prem versions as well. So you will have different types of cloud uh, methodology. So you will have a public cloud versus a private cloud, etc. But on-prem essentially means that all of this is managed internally by the client. With regards to infrastructure as a service, so we have these the ones that are highlighted in blue: the application, the data, runtime, middleware stuff, and the operating system related stuff is something which is managed by you as the company that is implementing, or by the client, so to say. But with the rest of the stuff, primarily around the storage and the network piece, is something which is maintained by Oracle. So they will take the ownership and responsibility of any issues that arise with regards to storage, with regards to the servers, etc. So they basically provide the infrastructure as a service, as the name of the offering suggests. As regards to platform as a service, so which is called as PaaS, basically Oracle will give its own platform which is built on different technologies, JBCS or Java-based cloud service, or VBCS, which they call it, and process cloud service. Essentially, what it means is that you can build your own set of applications and run it using the data in those applications, as a company or as a, third party implementation partner. You will have access to, they just provide you a framework to build your own set of applications, connect to the Oracle cloud in-house, or sorry, not in-house, but the out of the box modules that are there within HCM, or for that matter outside of HCM as well. But essentially, you can build your own custom applications using the platform that Oracle provides. And in that sense, Oracle will be responsible for kind of maintaining that overall framework or the platform itself. But the applications and the data that resides within those applications is something which will be managed by you as the client, or as the implementation partner.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Nirav. I have a
Yeah.
question. Is it, the PaaS service is like the application is developed by the clients or by the cloud people of Oracle?
No, so it is developed by the client or the implementation partner. So if you are, say, implementing it for a particular client, you will have the responsibility of implementing those custom apps, and the data that resides in the that particular app, if it is a completely custom app, so to say. uh, Oracle will only be responsible for giving you that platform and ensuring that that platform is running up and running over full time, so that you can create your own apps. But you, as an implementation partner, or if the client has its own in-house implementation team, will have the complete responsibility of maintaining that those apps that you build in within that. Does that
Oh,
help?
okay. No, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And
Uh,
then, yes,
yeah,
sorry.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
So basically, like on-premise is nothing but everything is in the hands of the client, and they have to manage it on their own once they buy the product. Is it like that? So they should.
Yes, yes. So, for example, so initially at the first instance when Oracle is selling it, they will basically give you the application, the data, the servers, etc. Sorry, in the sense that they will be responsible at that point of time. But the moment you buy it, after that, everything responsibility lies with the client. So if there's an upgrade, for example, that Oracle comes up with,
Okay.
then all those upgrades will be the implementation team or the client's internal IT team, to ensure that those upgrades do not impact your existing implementation or existing modules, etc. So all that kind of responsibility lies with the IT team of the client, or the company that you are implementing for, or the implementation team if there is a outsourced implementation team. But essentially, Oracle will not take ownership of any of those activities. Say
Okay.
what needs to be, say, if you need and technically, if there are multiple servers required, if you want to move it to a single server, etc., all that in terms of the data storage, if your storage space has been exhausted, what do you do in that sense? All that kind of management also will have to be done by the customer,
Right.
or by
Okay.
the implementation team.
Okay. So even the implementation team could be part of the customer itself, right?
Absolutely, yes. So there are two ways in which the different companies operate, basically, or in the projects that I have been part of. We have seen different ways in which it has been operating, in the sense that generally, at least the large companies, or more majority of the companies, outsource it to an implementation partner or a vendor. But at the same time, they have their own internal IT team, and the internal IT team is trained through the implementation period or the phase, and by the time the implementation gets completed, the majority of them get trained, and then the baton is passed on from the third party vendor to the internal IT team of the customer or the client or the company itself.
Okay. Okay.
So these are the two different ways in which generally uh, the companies operate, and there could be one more way in which the company is on an expansion, or rather they themselves want to build a team or implementation team. If it's an say IT services company, they are building their own practice. In that sense also, they might kind of have their internal team uh, trained on this. Say for example, they would send their resources to get trained on Oracle Fusion, and then after they are trained, they themselves start on with the implementation. But that involves its own risk, because you are trying to implement it yourself with a limited knowledge or with limited training. So that's how some few organizations may take it as well, if they want to, or for that matter, if they already have, say, an Oracle e-business suite or an on-premise version experience or a practice, they would kind of train those people. So that will be a easier shift. In that sense, they would internally implement it. But yeah, there are different ways of structuring your teams. But essentially, this is the difference between these four uh,
Okay.
ways in which you can have the platform or uh, the infrastructure or the applications in itself distributed.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Neera. I think that's clear.
So this is basically a deep dive into, or rather, we just talked about what is infrastructure as a service and the responsibilities in that. So we have a consumer and the provider or the partner. So the consumer, in this case, if you as a consumer or as a company buy the infrastructure as a service from Oracle, in that sense, then you will be responsible for all these activities, say preparing the web application and database servers, provisioning the database and applications, deploying the application, configuring the load balancers, managing the virtual machines and DBMS and the applications. But the partner or the provider, say for example, Oracle, if Oracle is the implementation partner, or if there's a third party implementation partner, they will be responsible for configuring and managing the servers, the operating system related stuff, and the virtual machines. So that is something which is managed and serviced by the provider or the partner. With regards to platform as a service, the responsibilities of maintaining the data and application related stuff, the provisioning of the data, provisioning of the applications, accesses around those applications, creating that application and deploying that application, all that resides with the consumer or the company that is going to use this particular applications. Well, as regards to the additional stuff that will be there with regards to PaaS, in addition to infrastructure as a service, will be the middleware layer. All of that will also have to be maintained by the provider or the partner. So the database, with regards to the middleware, any integrations, the application servers, all of that will also be have to be maintained essentially by the provider or the partner. And this is the one which we are going to focus on in our training for Oracle Fusion HCM Cloud, which is the SaaS offering of Oracle, which is software as a service, where we have uh, an application which is managed by the provider or the partner, whatever the mode of implementation the company chooses for. The middleware is maintained by the Oracle team or the partner, and any of the applications that are there within the purview, or rather within the scope of the implementation. Those applications are essentially maintained by the Oracle team, and then if there are implementation partners, they will be also responsible for maintaining those applications through the different upgrades, through the different changes that happen to the applications in itself. What the consumer will be responsible for is just kind of running the application over the internet, and any or very limited customizations that are possible within the scheme of things is something which the ownership will lie with the consumer, or the company that is going to use this particular offering. So that's what the different offerings are for Oracle Fusion Cloud. Uh, yeah, so this is the overall HCM evolution that has happened over the years. From a process standpoint, this slide talks about how it has evolved over the years. HCM. So initially, it was more of an administrative solution that was there on different technologies, be it say Oracle, say be it PeopleSoft, etc. So initially, when back in the days, companies started using HCM products, their main focus was to have employee data just maintained somewhere in the system. And that employee data was mainly, say, related to employment information, where the what department the employee belongs to, what is his educational background, what is his previous experience, etc., and what is required for his payroll processing, or to pay the employee per se. Say, for example, what is his salary, what is his employment type, etc. And then the benefits, of course, say, for example, if he has any additional benefits with regards to gratuity, insurance, etc., etc. So initially, it was more of an administrative solution which the HR team used to manage. So there were dedicated HR folks who were responsible just for maintaining this data. Over the years, how it has evolved is that it has moved in from an administrative solution to a service delivery based solution, where we have self-service based offerings. For example, we have employees and managers, or reporting managers, part of the overall process per se, and the systems per se as well. So not just say, for example, they getting involved in the employees and managers getting involved in the hiring, or in the performance processes, goals processes, etc., etc. But they the second phase was where whatever this core HR, payroll and benefits data was there, it was exposed to the employees and managers, either for viewing purpose or for doing some self-service actions like approving certain changes, or reviewing certain changes, etc. And then at this stage, we came there came up a stage where there was a help desk that evolved in terms of a process. So there were HR teams responsible for responding to the queries of the employees through the different systems, and kind of managing those across. So that's how the second phase came up with. And then we had workforce management in terms of recording the time, attendance, maintaining the leaves, doing the scheduling of the employees. All of that got evolved and included as a part of the Oracle solution per se, over the course of the different years. And not just Oracle solution, but in essentially across different technologies as well. But this is how it has evolved. And very recently, or rather a few years back, it turned into the focus shifted on being more strategic in terms of how the application is, and how the solution is, where there were features related to recruiting, performance management, learning management, compensation, career development, etc., that were built into the application, so that the complete gamut or entire hire to retire life cycle is covered within the system itself. So that's how the solution moved ahead or forward in the game. And the most recent development that's there with regards to the cloud offerings of most of the technologies, and precisely on Oracle, is that the BI platform has taken over, or rather the focus has been additionally to build in reports, analytics, dashboards, etc., on top of these different solutions or the modules that Oracle offers. And of course, to add to this, which is not reflected in this slide, is uh, add an element of AI to it as well. So there are offerings that Oracle has, which is with regards to chatbots, where it helps interact with the employees, managers, and other business users or the end users, and makes their lives easier, or their journey with the Oracle HCM easier. But essentially, this has been the journey of HCM in um, totality, and more so on even for Oracle Cloud per se. It has been how the evolution has happened. And basically, one of the reasons or one of the advantages that it brings in is, of course, that it reduces the effort on the part of the HR team. And the second thing it brings on with these changes or shift that has happened is that it engages the employees and the managers, and gives them a transparent view of what's happening within the system, and what they can do with their careers as well. So that's what the focus has shifted from being an administrative solution to being a more employee centric or people centric solution over the years. Now, to be moving on to a very specific Oracle cloud-based offering. So, what from a process standpoint, how Oracle structures or markets or sells its own solution is, this is how it is. So the overall Oracle framework is divided into four different areas. If you see over here, it is divided into something called as acquiring the talent. So it starts with doing the preparation for acquiring the talent, which is planning for the workforce. So there are offerings, or there are modules within Oracle which are responsible for doing the activities with regards to planning for the workforce, attracting and doing the sourcing of the talent, or posting the positions, etc., on different platforms. And then, of course, recruiting or the talent through the process of basically getting them through the interviews, releasing offers, etc. All of that is what is part of the solution that is there in this area of acquiring talent. And then after the acceptance of offer is, of course, the entire onboarding journey. So this uh, Oracle has, and we'll talk about it in the next slide as well, which talks about the different modules that Oracle has. So we have acquire talent as the sub process within the larger hire to retire process per se that Oracle offers. Then we have managing the talent. So once the employee is onboarded into the company, he will start working on the goals or of the company, or how his goals are aligned to the company's goals or objectives. So that's the goal setting exercise that happens within Fusion. And through this course of the goal setting, and of course the goal, he starts working on those goals. There is a module, or there is an area where how his time or productivity is going to be managed, is what we will see through OTL, or time and labor as it is called. and then through the course of the year, how his goals evolve, and then his performance is assessed at different stages of the cycle is what forms a part of the managing talent. And after you have assessed the performance, of course, you will through the course of the career, you will kind of provide different sorts of trainings, plan for their career shifts or career movements, managing the different competencies or skill sets of the employees. So that basically forms a part of the development of talent work area or work stream. And of course, not to forget the rewards, or the portion which is kind of response is catering to the compensation needs. So designing the compensation of the employee, providing or managing the benefits of the employee, and then of course executing the payroll. So these are the four large buckets in which Oracle has kind of split their solutions into. They would necessarily may not necessarily point to a particular module per se, or may point to a set of modules. When we go into the next slide, you will come to know how it is. For example, say planning of workforce may not necessarily fit into the recruitment module per se, or maybe fitting into the different talking to different modules, say the core HCM or the employee lifecycle piece as well. And say for example a recruiting talent. So this slide basically talks about overall how the process is structured, or the process is divided into the different work streams. And then you see below that these four processes are split, or in the sense that you have your self-service, you have your BI reports, etc., underlying as a horizontal work stream which resides in each of these processes, be it talent, acquiring talent, be it managing talent, developing talent, or retaining the talent itself. And then there is, of course, a horizontal of the technology and the workflow piece, basically, that is more on the technical landscape. So you have the same engine, or you have the same technology that is going to be used across these four areas per se, in terms of, say, workflows, in terms of security, how you govern accesses, etc. Essentially, those will be common across these four areas, and whatever modules that you choose. Now, from an applications perspective, and you will see that there could be certain nomenclature changes from this slide, or if you have experienced in case you have come across in your existing implementations, people talking about the different modules per se, there could be certain nomenclature or jargon changes over the years that Oracle has had. So you might be referring to an old nomenclature or referring to a new nomenclature, but we'll see how Oracle is placed as of today. But if you see, these are the different offerings that Oracle has per se across the different modules, and across the different work streams, not just the Oracle HCM work stream, but even say finance, supply chain, project portfolio management and procurement, and CRM. And lastly, risk and controls. So these are the different offerings that Oracle comes up with. Oracle has its own financial software, or as a service offering as well, which has these different modules. We have general ledger, accounts payables, asset management, payments and collections, receivables, cash and expense management, and the common modules as well. On Fusion HCM, to be precise, there are these different areas which you will see, and we'll talk about what is part of the scope of this particular training, and what we will cover in this training as well. In a bit, we'll go through the course content after this slide. But essentially, these are the different modules. Say It starts with global human resources, as it is called, or core HCM, as it is widely talked about. So core HCM, we have workforce lifecycle management, which is more to do so with say employees absences and employees time and scheduling. So that is called as workforce management, or workforce lifecycle management. uh, we have benefits, so employees benefits, which is mainly revolving around benefits over and above the employees compensation, or the salary benefits outside of the salary. Say for example, insurance, be it health insurance, medical insurance, any other benefits that the company offers. So those benefits are part of the Oracle benefits module. Compensation management is employees salary and components within that salary, and the entire process, say, of your increments, bonuses, etc., is something which is housed in compensation management. We have goals and performance management, which talks about setting of goals, doing the appraisals in the system, managing the employees performance, and that feeds into another module which is called as talent review and succession planning, which caters to how you manage the talent after their performance is assessed. So you will have them undergoing different processes of assessment, maintaining their potentials, managing their skills, etc. All that forms a part of talent review. And then, of course, you will need to move the people, or make the people ready for the next role, which is what we call as succession planning module. So talent review and succession planning. Payroll is an offering of Oracle Fusion HCM that is responsible just for the calculations to be done and processing of the payroll, and releasing the payments to the employees. So that's what is there or housed in payroll. Network at work. So initially, Oracle used to bundle this particular module and sell it as a part of global HCM, which is called as network at work, which is nothing but kind of uh, equivalent of, say, a Facebook at work, so that is called as network at work. If you want to connect to the different employees within your organization, have you talk through the application, you have your chats, your forums, etc., all that there. So that is what is network of work. And then, of course, the common modules and the dashboards that reside on top of it, and the security or the business process workflows that reside on top of it, are the um, technical aspects of these particular modules. But essentially, this is what Oracle Fusion HCM is, and it talks to finance, it talks to supply chain modules, it talks to project portfolio. If you are implementing it for a company that is mainly into projects, say a professional services company, or say a construction based organization, or uh, mm, yeah, any other organization which is into projects, you will have this particular project portfolio management there. Procurement, for any of your purchasing needs, and how you kind of do that activity. And then CRM, for maintaining your customers and their data. So that's how the overall landscape is for Oracle Fusion, and specifically on HCM. Now, before uh, I mean, kind of open the floor for any questions for today's topics. This is how we are going to structure our training. So let me just quickly open up the course content. So if you see this particular document, basically these are the 6 areas that we are going to focus, or is part of the scope of the training. So we have a basic introduction about Oracle Cloud. So we briefly touched upon introduction to Oracle Cloud, SaaS, PaaS overview, and capabilities. In our demo session for tomorrow, we will be looking at how the application looks like on a very high level, navigation basics, and what are the different. So we talked about the different modules, how those are placed in the application. We'll see an overview or a basic of that, and after that is where we will start off with these modules which are in scope of this particular training. So we will have global HCM, which will talk about the implementation of global HR module, the foundational data that is required for that, how you go about configuring the system, setting up workflows, setting up roles, etc. That will be there as a part of the global HCM work area. We will then have a complete end-to-end implementation, functional implementation training on goals and performance management. We will then have talent review and succession management, which is called as talent management and career development as a part of this particular module. We will have global absence management, which is talking about the leaves. And we will also talk in that, we will talk about how it interacts with uh, time and labor module. And then lastly, we have cloud global payroll. We'll talk about what are the payroll implementation steps and how you go about configuring that in the system. Within core HCM, we will also talk about employees compensation. We'll talk about couple of technical topics, not in extensive detail, but to the detail which you as a functional consultant is required to know with regards to, say, for example, data migration, with regards to reporting. So if you have to build your own reports, say for example, for reconciliation or for debugging any issues, etc., to that extent, and then the overall table structure within the database, we will look at that areas within part of a global HCM or global HR. What is outside of the scope of this training, to be precise, is we will not cover Oracle Recruiting Cloud, which is the recruit module of Oracle. We will not cover the detail of uh, Oracle time and labor module per se, which is a module in itself. But we will, when we talk about absences, typically we will talk about the scenarios that you will have, how timesheet is maintained and how you integrate it with Oracle time and labor if you have a time and labor module as a part of Oracle, or for that matter if you have it as a third party standalone solution. So these are the two modules which will not be part of our training, but essentially these are the in scope areas. And we will have uh, we will talk about also the standard procedures or processes of how you kind of maintain these when you go about implementing it, what are the different resources and the documents that you need to access, or typical, say, methodology with regards to configurations, with regards to test cases, cutover, etc., that you will have to keep in mind when you are doing a implementation for any particular client or for your own internal company. So I'll take a pause at this and open the floor for any questions in the next 4-5 minutes. If there are any questions, happy to address. And then just one last thing, we will be kind of maintaining a tracker of each topic that we have covered, and we will have assignments or exercises, and there will be an instance that will be there for your practice per se, and you will use that instance for your practice and report or come up with any questions that you have in the following sessions, as and when we cover those topics. So that's how the structure of the training is going to look like. Any questions on from today's topics, or overall in general about the training?
Yes. Ms. Gautami, you wanted to have a question, and let me continue once you finish, or can I continue?
Yeah, you can go on, Moment.
Okay, Nirav, thank you so much for your session actually. So I just have some questions regarding
Mm-hmm.
the modules.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so don't you cover OTBI reports and time and labor?
So as I said, OTBI reports will be part of global HCM. We will see the basic structure of OTBI, how you create a basic report. Say if you want to extract employee information, you want to extract, say, compensation of an employee, what the basic framework of OTBI, how you create a standard OTBI report. We will cover that. But we will not go into the depth of, say, if you have to create a complex OTBI report, how you go about creating that, because that is more technical, specific topic related training, which we will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I can understand because
Yeah.
normally we do some codings
Yes.
on that, but that's okay. But I can
Yeah.
manage that part. But at
Yeah.
least you will have a touch up on that area, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So part of global HCM, we will have OTBI and we will have data migration as well. So if you have to migrate legacy data into Oracle HCM, or for that matter, if you have to integrate data from HCM, we will cover the topic of extracting information, which could be either in the form of a report or it could be an extract, as the topic is called. Yeah, but we'll cover that. With regards to OTL, that's something which is uh, the structure of this training is in the sense that not all companies or not all organizations typically end up using OTL to that extent, or implementing Oracle Fusion OTL. Generally, the way that companies adopt is, if because OTL has its own limited capabilities, and it is evolving as well. Oracle has kept it as a separate offering per se, and we have kind of not included as a part of this training, because say for example a company which doesn't want employees to track their time through the system, they would generally not opt for OTL, and that's where the framework is that we will cover kind of integrations or touch points or interface points with OTL, but not essentially how you configure OTL within Oracle Fusion.
Yeah, I can understand, but how the time cards is assessed actually. If you take for example UAE,
Mm-hmm.
the OTL is mandated in all each and every government, local and federal governments. So
Mm-hmm.
how the time cards is processed, because based on the time cards, the salaries are processed, right? I guess. So that would be the
So that is
core.
again organization to organization. Say it is at least, I mean, and as you said, localization to localization, there is no mandate as such that you have to track time. Say for example, if I were in India, there is no mandate that the government says that you have to track time or you have to ask employees to fill in time. As long as you kind of know what are the number of days the person has worked, or and there is no hard and fast rule as such. That's the reason it is not part of this common training as such. But we'll certainly talk about the touch points with absences. Say for example, if you are applying for leave, or if for example payroll, if you are having a say a third party system, for example, to track your time. Say you are having a swipe in or swipe card system, or you are having a punch card, or you are having a face recognition or a fingerprint reader that is going to be tracking time. Have you integrated to, say with the say app payroll module, or have you consumed that data? We will touch upon those, and have time and labor can consume that. We can talk
So
about
I
those,
mean
but
to say it is
yeah.
already it will be integrated with some of the modules. So the time cards, like for example, access control, it is directly integrated with your payroll. So that's how it's not needed. You mean to say?
It is no, it's a module altogether, separate module per se, but generally based on the usage, which is not included as a part of this course
No, I'm
content.
actually I'm generally asking in Indian companies. I'm not sure how the time cards are
Yeah,
monitored
so in
because we
Indian
don't know how
companies,
big
for
is a
example,
large
say
organization.
for example, in a professional services company, there will be no need for time card, an employee's time. So it will be considered as employees present by default. And if the employee applies for say a paid leave or an unpaid leave, that will be considered as whatever leaves that is there, and that will be
Oh,
deducted. So
okay, okay.
default it considers as paid and then it reduces, and then that depends on industry to industry, because everyone will not be tracking time to that extent. As you said, even in India, say for example, a manufacturing industry would want to track time versus say a professional services or a banking client or an IT services company, etc. So that depends on the industry to industry, but there's no hard and fast law that binds the companies to kind of record time of each and every employee. So there's no law that says okay that you have to have a OTL module implemented per se. And same goes even with absences as well. But uh, it is something which almost all the companies take it up. So that's the reason. And generally, Oracle sells or bundles their solution as well in such a fashion that you will have these modules part of that uh, implementation. And OTL is one of the last uh, or very least preferred modules that is implemented as a part of implementations. But certainly it is, we will touch upon the interactions when we do the absence management module. We will see a flavor of how time is captured in the system briefly, but not to the detail of you going and configuring the different time cards.
Oh, okay. All right. So basically, what you're telling, it's like, if some company clients are going for an HCM solutions, cloud solutions,
Yeah.
these are the main modules they will cover it, right?
Yes, they will. Yes, so 90% of the companies will certainly uh, cover the first four of them. They generally go with that. Payroll sometimes may be outsourced to another vendor just to avoid from a risk perspective. So they would kind of outsource it, but we have included it so that you get a flavor of payroll as well, especially in countries like say US, UK, or say even very recently in the Middle East countries, you will see that Oracle has its own payroll localization on an engine which has all the inbuilt calculations there. So that's the reason we have covered that. OTL, recruiting, both of these are evolving. Recruiting is the very most recent module that has been released. I think only a couple of years back is where they started implementing it. Up until then, they were kind of integrating with or using Talio, which was their acquired product per se. So that's the reason where this training does not have those two modules per se. But we will touch briefly upon the interactions with any of these modules.
Okay. So, fine. Then lastly, I just have one question actually. The thing is, next week I'll not be here in India, so I'll be moving to UAE. So only one my concern is the timing. Like, since you start around 7 a.m. here, it's almost 5:30 a.m. there. So if other my colleagues or somebody, who can adopt with some other timing apart from this time, it will be good. Otherwise, it's okay. I'm okay with this time. I'm just it's my concern. It's your take on this.
Yeah, so that will have to be even checked based on the preferences. So how many of you go ahead and enroll for this complete training? So if we have say what percentage of people are getting enrolled and what percentage of people, I mean, we can take the preferences. So if you have any preference time slots, we can take it from all of you, and then we can come back whatever fits the best for us as well as for all of you. But we hear you that this is what it is. I mean, 7 to 8. Any particular time preferences once you move on into UAE
Yeah,
next
see,
week?
actually, I'll just tell you, my working day will be like from Sunday to Thursday. So
Mhm.
Friday, Saturday is a holiday for me. So my working time from UAE, it's around 8 o'clock in the UAE time, which is around here is 9:30 and ends up at 5 o'clock. Okay,
Mhm.
so it's almost like 6:30 here.
Mhm.
So during this time I cannot attend. So anytime before or anytime after I can attend it. Like, which is your time
Got it.
before 9:30 and after 6:30 p.m. I can attend anytime.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Uh, Gautami,
I
if you
preferably in the evening, like if
prefer in the evening, okay.
evening. And
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, I'm almost free. So you can just consume all of my time. That's not a problem.
Okay. Gautami, what are your preferences if at all you choose to enroll, go ahead and enroll into this course?
Yeah, Nirav, so for me, this timing works good. And if it is, if at all you are planning in the evening, so in the evening, similar time like 7 to 8 will work fine. So
And
not because even my work starts by 9:30 a.m. So at least before that, I need some time to,
yeah, yeah,
get ready and
I
all.
understand. Yeah.
So for that, I thought like if it was like 7 to 8 is the best time for me because I'll get at least a 1 hour gap to
I
complete.
understand. Got it. Yeah, just understanding the preferences and may not necessarily we may not change the timings, but if we just understand your preferences, so we can work it out that works best for all the trainees.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
sure.
we hear you. Okay. All right. I think so. That's good. Any other questions from any one of you?
Yeah, Neerav, I wanted to ask you about this. So payroll, if we are covering, so we are covering all the like other localizations, or we are covering only US, like.
We will be covering the basics of payroll in the sense that how you say do the entire end-to-end process of payroll. So we'll have the concepts and setup of, say, for example, calculation cards. We will pick one particular legislation and do it. We will not be covering all the localizations. So I think there are 12 localizations, if I'm not wrong, that are offered by Oracle. We will pick up, say, a US localization, and then uh, go through the concepts of it, and then the rest, say a UK specific localization specific things or other localization specific things, we will not go into the depth of that, but we will pick up one particular payroll localization and then see how the solution works on that.
So even like I just wanted to know, since I never worked on this payroll, this thing. So each localize like from US, how different is the other
So
implementation?
only difference will be, say, any country specific rules. We will not touch upon that. Say for example, in India you have income tax or Form 16.
Okay.
You will have to generate a Form 16. You will have to generate different reports, etc., which are there. Or for that matter, there will be requirements for the US, say, to report to the US government federal taxes, etc. So all of that. Is something which is part of the localization, but everything other than that is common in nature. Say for example, how you create, if you want to define your own components, if you want to define different formulas, if you want to what will go about in processing the payroll, what are the different steps to do that, all that will be common things which are specific to the country's rules. That is something which we will not cover in our training.
Okay. Okay. And one
Say
more
for
thing.
example, in Saudi Arabia payroll, you will have different tax regime, or in UAE you will have different tax regime, etc. So there you will not cover into the depth of it, but we will say, okay, for example, if you have to create your own formula, or if you have to create your own component, how you go about it and use that component in processing of payroll.
Okay, that means we pretty much cover it, but whatever is specific to that particular country, we are not touching that part.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, and actually, after say, oh, like a global HR module is covered, like the implementation part is covered. So how good I am, like will be that in that position, I can even give a certification also based on this course.
Yes. There, I mean, um, we will cover it. Say, for example, global HCM. So once you go through the global HCM topic, you will be in a position to you will understand, and if of course you practice it hand in hand together, you will certainly be in a position to say, okay, understand the complete concepts of it, and then ideally, I mean, it is recommended, I mean, at least if you are part of one implementation, if you get a chance to be part of one implementation, or do a hands-on at least for, say, for 2 to 3 months, I would say you should be in a position to give a certification as well. But I mean, that's what I have seen in my experience, 2 to 3 months of hands-on experience. And that could not be necessarily working on a project per se, but even if you have, say, for example, working on a training instance, you are trying to do a hands-on playing around with the system, that's where you will have questions coming up and you will be able to relate to a lot of stuff. So say after you have completed the training and had a couple of months of hands-on into the system, you can certainly take up the global HCM training. So there are different trainings with sorry certifications. There are different certifications that are there for each of this module. So for global HCM, you have a certification. Then there is a certification for goals and performance. You have a certification for
Right,
payroll,
right,
etc. But
right.
yes, after you complete, say we take whatever 3 weeks or 2 weeks to complete, say for example, global HCM, and after 2 weeks of that, if you get I mean, if you at least play around or do a hands-on, say for about 4 to 6 weeks, then you should be in a position to give a certification and complete the certification. But yeah, so certification is more theoretical in nature per se. When we do the actual working knowledge as well, and that you can gain, and it will not be in-depth working knowledge. So you don't necessarily need to do a full-blown implementation per se, but at least if you have tried your hands on that particular area, you will be able to navigate through and do the certification.
Okay, okay. And the last question I have. So we are covering these topics offerings like one by one, right? So we will have an assessment like from something like you give us to do for this particular requirement, implement it from scratch, kind of.
Yeah, so we will have an assignment. So we will have an activity, set of activities which will be there. So that is one, of course, I will demo you or I will showcase you how to configure it in the system. We will have the recordings for that. You can refer that recordings and try it at your side as well. And we will kind of track it that, okay, and there will be certain exercises that will be provided for each of these areas. Say, for example, global HCM, go ahead and say you create a new say set up a new legal entity or set up a new job or say set up a goal plan or set up an appraisal document or performance document. That's how the exercises will be there as a part of our training.
Okay. Yeah. Fine. I'm clear on that. Thanks, Neera.
Yeah. All right. So if there aren't any questions, I'll stop the recording and then we will resume our demo session at the same time tomorrow. And in the meanwhile, Tosh, do you want to add anything or anything from
Before
your
we
end?
wind up,
Yeah.
Nirav, I just have a couple of questions. Like,